Do you remember the laughter, the dusty little shoes, and those sweet, mischievous faces that once felt like part of childhood itself? For so many people, the Little Rascals were never just old black and white comedy shorts. They were part of after-school afternoons, Saturday mornings, and those simpler years when sitting in front of the television for a little while could make everything feel lighter. They made us laugh, they made us smile, and for many of us, they still belong to a gentler, more innocent part of life. But looking back now, it can be hard not to wonder what became of those children after the cameras stopped rolling. Today, we're looking back at the Little Rascals, also known as our gang, the little faces millions of people grew up loving, and the lives they lived after the laughter, the mischief, and those unforgettable childhood moments. And as we go, you may be surprised by which faces still feel the same, which stories turned out far sadder than anyone would have guessed, and which of these children still stays in your heart the most. There may be no better place to begin than with one of the most unforgettable little faces of them all, Carl, Alfalfa, Switzer. Alfalfa is one of those people children remember almost instantly. The cowlick, the freckles, off-key singing, and the way he chased Darla with complete sincerity made him one of the strongest memory triggers in the whole Little Rascals world. He was awkward, hopeful, funny, and so earnest that people could not help loving him. And the world around him is still easy to picture now. Dusty lots, homemade clubhouses, and children trying to act older than they really were. Alfalfa belonged to that world so naturally that he helped define it. That is why his story feels so bittersweet now. The little boy remembered with so much affection did not grow into the easy life viewers might have wished for him. And when people think of the child who seemed to keep the gang moving, the next face that comes right back is George, Spanky, McFarland. If Alfalfa brought the heart, Spanky often brought the spark. He had that round little face, those quick reactions, and the confidence of a child who always seemed to have a plan. For many viewers, he was not simply part of the gang, he was the gang. That is what made him so memorable. He felt real, bright, bossy, funny, and completely natural. So many people still talk about growing up with him, as if he were one of those children you saw so often that he became part of your own early years. And of course, one of the other little faces so many people still remember right away is Buckwheat. Played by Billie Thomas, Buckwheat became one of the most recognizable characters in the entire series. The hair, the clothes, the voice, and the scenes he shared with Porky made him unforgettable to generations of viewers. Even people who have not watched the films in years can usually still picture him at once. What many people remember first is the delight he brought to the screen. He was one of those children who could brighten a moment simply by being there. But looking back now, his story also carries a quieter sadness. A child once watched and loved by millions ended up living much more quietly than the memory people kept of him. And then there was Darla Hood, who brought a softness to the series that no one else quite did. Darla was not only adorable, she had presence, she could sing, she had poise, and she changed the energy of every scene she entered. Once Darla appeared, the boys acted sillier, tried harder, and suddenly everything became just a little sweeter. For many women, especially Darla, who still feels like one of the most memorable girls from classic childhood television. Her scenes with Alfalfa became part of the series' emotional memory because they were funny, innocent, and sincerely tender. That is why looking back at her now feels so moving. She represented something light and lovely when viewers were young, and time has added a quiet sadness to that memory. And then there is Matthew Beard as Stymie, one of the most distinctive children the gang ever had. Stymie had a style no one could mistake for anyone else's. The derby hat, the calm confidence, the smooth way he talked, and the feeling that he always knew a little more than everyone around him made him impossible to forget. He brought wit and personality into the group in a way that felt effortless. He also reminds people that this series was deeper than a few famous gags. It had real personality across the cast, and Stymie was one of the clearest examples of that. And like so many of these children, the boy people smiled at had to carry far more in life than audiences ever knew then. And for a great many viewers, one name that absolutely belongs in this story is Mickey. played by Robert Blake. Mickey is one of those faces people mention the moment they feel a Little Rascals story has left someone important out. That says a lot all by itself. He mattered. He brought a slightly tougher, sharper energy to the group and helped the later years of the series feel complete. What also makes Mickey stand out now is that his life did not stop with childhood fame. He became one of the rare children from this world who went on to build a major adult career. That gives his story a different feeling. When people remember Mickey now, they are not only remembering a child from our gang, they are remembering someone whose life remained in public view for decades. And then there was Jackie Cooper, a child whose face carried so much feeling even at a young age. Jackie had that rare ability to seem mischievous one moment and deeply vulnerable the next. He could make childhood emotions feel real, and that made him unforgettable. In a world full of pranks and noise, he could suddenly bring tenderness into the middle of it all. That is why Jackie still matters so much in a story like this. He reminds people that some of these children were not only charming but genuinely gifted. And he also brings something hopeful into the middle of the video. Because he found a way to become more than the little boy people first remembered. And when you go back to the earliest heart of the series, one of the most important faces of all is Farina, played by Hoskins. Farina helped build the very soul of our gang. Long before some of the later favorites arrived, he was already there, shaping the warmth and emotional pull of the series. Looking back at Farina now also means looking back at a different America. One viewers can see more clearly today than they could as children. And still, what many people remember first is simply the child himself, bright, expressive, funny, and central to the earliest memory of the series. Without him, the story of our gang feels incomplete. And once the memory shifts toward the children who brought a little more friction into that world, one of the first names that comes to mind is Butch, played by Tommy Bond. Butch was the troublemaker that so many people still remember right away. He had the look, the swagger, and the feeling of being the boy who could walk into a scene and turn everything upside down. What made him memorable was that he was not truly frightening. He was the kind of childhood bully who stirred things up just enough to make the world feel more alive. And not far behind him in people's memories is Porky, played by Eugene, Porky, Lee. Porky brought a softer and more innocent kind of comedy. He is one of those children people may not name first, but the moment he is missing, they feel it. He helped make that little world feel complete, and that is why he still belongs in the memory of the series. And then there was Froggy, played by Billie Laughlin, one of the most unusual and instantly recognizable children the series ever had. Froggy is the kind of character people often remember by sound before they remember by name. That voice made him unforgettable almost immediately. But what made him special was not just the voice. It was the contrast between that sweet little face and that strange croaking sound. He brought a completely different flavor to the comedy. And because of that, looking back at him now carries an extra sadness. There was something so singular about him, and yet his life was heartbreakingly short. And then there was Chubby, played by Norman Chaney, one of those little faces that still brings back an immediate smile for so many people. Chubby had a wonderfully expressive face and a kind of comic timing that made even a quiet reaction memorable. He felt innocent, funny, and deeply lovable. That is why his story feels especially sad to look back on now. The child people remember so fondly did not have the long life they might have wished for him. And as the years moved on, one of the stories that became much harder to look back on is the story of Scotty Beckett. Scotty had bright energy on screen. He seemed lively, natural, and full of promise, but time was not especially gentle with him. And his path after those early years became much more troubled than viewers ever would have imagined. That is one of the hardest parts of a story like this, seeing how far life can drift from the sweet image that first stayed in people's memory. And finally, there is Wheezer, played by Bobby Hutchins, one of the smallest faces in the gang. And for many people, one of the most tender to remember. Wheezer had that eager little quality that made him instantly touching. He was the child always trying to keep up, always wanting to be included, always bringing that feeling of the little one in the group who just wanted to belong. That is why his story leaves such a quiet ache behind. With him, more than with some of the others, the feeling that remains is not shock, it is tenderness. And that brings us to the end of this look back at some of the most unforgettable children from the Little Rascals. Also known as our gang. They brought laughter, mischief, sweetness, and some of the warmest memories many people still carry from childhood. And maybe that is why looking back at them now can feel so emotional. We are not only remembering old films, we are remembering a time of life, a softer rhythm, and the little faces that somehow became part of it. What stays with people, in the end, is not only what happened to them later, it is also who they were to us back then. They were the children who made us laugh, the little troublemakers who felt harmless and lovable, the familiar faces who still seem to belong to a gentler part of memory. So before you go, I'd love to ask you something. Which of these little rascals has stayed in your heart the longest? And which one brings you back the fastest to those early years of watching them? Leave a comment below. And if this brought back a part of your childhood, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who remembers those little black and white days with you. 2. This is Daniel Carter, and this is Celebs Before and After. Thank you for watching.